Can I afford to buy a house today? This is a very common question that I get all the time. I'm going to talk about 3 factors that may affect whether you can buy a house today or next year or in the next few months, or if you cannot buy. So let's get right into it. Currently in USA, approximately 74% of the households own their homes, and the affordability rate has been the lowest in decades. It used to be in California, it used to be under 20%. It may be much lower right now, and the affordability rate is getting lower and lower as the prices of the homes and the interest rates and everything else is going up. So let's see the 3 factors that affect whether you can buy a house or not in today's market and in the upcoming market. Of course, the affordability is a big deal. A lot of the Americans who want to buy a house have been knocked out of the housing market and they still really want to buy. In the pre-pandemic levels, there was a huge shortage of homes, and the buyers who wanted to buy could not buy homes because the interest rates were so low. So even though if they could afford a home or barely afford a home, they were beaten out by foreign buyers, cash buyers, investors, and other buyers who had lots of down payment and a lot of extra money and who could qualify easily. So a lot of the buyers that were going to buy in the last 2, 3, 4 years could not buy even after trying. And now these challenges have come up. So I'm going to talk about the number 1 reason a buyer, maybe like yourself or any other buyer, could not buy a house today and at any other given time is because of the current housing mortgage rates. As of a few days ago, the rates were almost 7.25%. My daughter bought a house a couple of years ago under 3%, so she could qualify. A lot of the buyers I know and the homes I actually sold were at 2.5%, 2.8%. I've also sold homes at 3%, 4%, and 5%. But just in the last year, in the last 8 or 9 months, mortgage rates have jumped by almost 3.83% or points, which is very high. I had 3 buyers. They were looking very excited. We made offers back in July, August. Come September, when the rates really jumped, they're totally knocked out of the market. They could barely afford a $600,000, $700,000 condo in Orange County, California. Now they can only qualify up to $500,000 to $550,000 condo or a townhome, for which there's nothing out there. So they just stopped buying. The other dilemma is that because they cannot buy, all 3 of them ended up renting, and they're paying ridiculous amount of rents. So the rent goes hand in hand with the home prices. The higher the home prices, the higher the mortgage rates, the higher the rents, because the people who own these homes want to make sure they break even, because as they pay higher mortgage, they charge the renters higher rent for them to break even. So yes, it is a dilemma. The number 1 thing that knocks out a buyer is the interest rate. And right now, a lot of buyers have been knocked out. The second factor that plays when you want to buy a house is the actual home price, regardless of the mortgage rate. And as we know, over the last 4 or 5 years, rates have gone up 5 to 10% per year. Not total, which is typical in a normal market. They go up 10% or 15% over the last 3 or 4 or 5 years. But in the last 2 or 3 years, they've gone up as high as 40%. I remember selling a house for $715,000 in 2016, and I have the same townhouse in Irvine listed right now for $1.2 million. Amazing. Great for the seller, not good for the buyer, because the $715,000 condo is going for $1.2. It's not going to sell at $1.2 because it's been on the market for 3 weeks. We've had open houses, we've advertised on social media, and we're not getting a lot of traction. Of course, one of the reasons is because the high interest rate jump has shocked a lot of buyers, so they have just backed off looking at all. So the traffic is very low. And of course, we're entering the Thanksgiving and Christmas season, so the typical home buying frenzy or home buying activity slows down anyways. So not just on my listing, but when I talk to other agents, local and nationwide, we've noticed that the traffic is down when it comes to showing homes from agents. The traffic is way down on open houses. Buyers are just not coming in. There used to be hardly any open houses. If there was an open house, it used to be from 12 to 2 or 1 to 3, and we used to have 50, 60, 70 people come in the 2 or 3 hours period. Now we are having open houses, at least in Orange County. I'm not sure about the other states. We're having an open house, and the average groups that come in is anywhere from 4 to 5 to 7 groups per day, Saturday and Sunday. So that shows a significant slowdown in buyer traffic. And one reason is the home prices. Buyers are just tired of not paying home prices that high. Add that with the high interest rate, they just said we're going to hold off, and that's what's happening. Hopefully the rates will go down, inflation will go down by springtime. We will see see an uptick in home buying, and the market may come down to normal, because right now there's not a lot of things happening, at least in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and there's a lot of rain today, so of course nothing's going to happen today. But in general, home buying activity has significantly slowed down, which means that the home price will have to come down. And with the home prices coming down and the mortgages coming down, you will be closer to being able to afford a home. So hope that happens for you sooner than later if you're a buyer. The third thing that affects your affordability or your capability to buy a house is, of course, wages. The good news amongst all this bad news, the good news is, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, wages have increased almost 7% from a year ago. Of course, wages hasn't kept up with the inflation. It has not kept up with the home prices going up, but at least wages have gone up by almost 7% nationwide. So the other factor is, how much is your salary, either yours or your spouse's, or if you're buying together as siblings, or father and daughter, or father and son, or any way you buy, what is the combined income? So the higher you make, the more wages you have, that affects your qualification. So if you make more money, if you put a little bit more down payment, and if the prices stabilize and the interest rates go down, you will be able to afford a home. So this may be a great time to start talking to a lender. Even though you're not going to buy it for the next 6 months or next year, at least you know how much your income needs to be with the projected interest rate, so you know how much of a house you can afford. And on top of that, you will find out how much down payment you are going to need to buy the house. Are you going to put a 3.5% down with an FHA loan? It's a government loan. Are you going to put 5% down? Are you going to put 20% down? In Orange County, where I'm from, California, the median house right now is almost $1 million. So if you put 20% down, that's $200,000 down that you're going to need. That means you will have to qualify, or you will need to qualify to buy an $800,000 loan amount. So is your wages up to par? Can you get a variable interest rate or an interest only variable rate? So all these factors come in, and wages is big. Hopefully your wage is increasing, your salary is increasing. If you're self-employed, then hopefully your income is increasing as well. But these are the three factors that highly affect your affordability to buy a house today. And of course, as the rates drop, as the prices drop, and more homes come on the market, you will be able to buy a house. The other factor that is affecting the home price is not dropping as much. A lot of the buyers call me up and say, hey, find me a foreclosure, find me a deal. There's no foreclosures right now. There's no good deals right now. And the prices are not dropping despite the low home buyer traffic, despite the high prices, despite the high inflation. And that's because there is still historic shortage of homes. Not only did we have shortage of homes in the pandemic, now that the pandemic is officially over, we still have a shortage. And the other factor that may increase the shortage of homes coming on the market is, if I'm a seller and let's say I bought a house 3 years ago at 4.5% and I want to move up a house, or I want to move out of state, then the first thing I'm going to think is, why would I sell my 4.5% fixed rate house and go into a house that I'm going to pay 7.5%? My mortgage is going to be way high and I may not be able to afford the home. So as a seller, I may not put it on the market and sell, and that is going to add to the shortage of homes, and that'll keep the prices from dropping significantly. And that's why what we are seeing is the home prices are dropping gradually and not significantly. Good luck to you on home buying. Feel free to make comments and subscribe to my channel.